There is a light in the void, not the blaze of a star, nor the eruption of a nova, but something stranger, calmer, and more terrifying. Before we continue deeper into this chilling vision, take a moment to join us in this exploration of the unimaginable. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments below, because the more we grow, the more incredible what-if stories like this one we can bring to life. Now, let us return to the darkness. The galaxy that greets Dr. Manhattan is unlike any other he has ever seen. Here, gods feed on mortals, and mortals worship gods who may not be gods at all. Every triumph is fleeting, every empire rotten from within, and every victory nothing more than a Pyrrhic illusion. The Imperium of man, vast and crumbling, stretches across 1,000,000 worlds. Its strength is not freedom, nor innovation, but blind faith and terror. Billions of men and women labor and die under the gaze of the ecclesiarchy, the machinery of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and the ruthless eye of the Inquisition. For 10,000 years they have worshipped the emperor of mankind, a corpse kept alive on the golden throne, his ruined body sustained by sacrifice and machines. To his people, he is a god. They do not remember the truth that once he rejected their worship. They do not know that his throne is not a temple, but a prison. They only believe, so when a glowing blue figure appears above Terra, brighter than any star and serene as eternity itself, the reaction is instant. The Imperium calls it heresy. The Inquisition brands him a demon. Armies are mobilized, fleets scramble to orbit, and the mighty space marines descend with bolters and blades to destroy this interloper. Yet their might is meaningless. Bolters crumble into dust before they are fired. Plasma evaporates into nothingness before it strikes. Even the colossal beams of a Titana, Imperium's god machines, disperse into harmless light, and when Manhattan chooses to respond, entire regiments vanish. Not shattered, not burned, not broken, but erased, as though they had never been born. For the first time in centuries, the Imperium faces an enemy it cannot categorize. The Mechanicus kneel and whisper that this must be the Omnissiah made manifest. The Inquisition howls that he is a trick of chaos. But Dr. Manhattan is neither. He is only himself, untouched, unknowable, inevitable. Beyond the veil of real space, deeper horrors awaken. The warp stirs, its roiling tides disturbed by his presence. The warp is the reflection of mortal thought, an ocean of madness and desire, bleeding into reality, and within it dwelled the four ruinous powers. Khorne, god of rage and bloodshed, who sits upon a throne built of skulls, feeds on every scream and slaughter. Yet Manhattan's actions bring him no sustenance. His erasures are passionless, devoid of anger, untouched by rage. To Khorne, this is insult. Tzezinch, the changer of ways, whose every motion is a scheme, whose every word is deception, studies Manhattan and finds nothing to manipulate. For how does one twist the fate of a being who already sees all fates, all endings, all beginnings, at once? Slaanesh, prince of pleasure, whispers temptations of lust and sensation, yet finds no weakness. For, to Manhattan, sensation is irrelevant, desire and hunger meaningless. Even Nurgle, lord of decay, patron of despair, cannot comprehend him. For Manhattan does not cling to life, does not fear death, and so has nothing for Nurgle to corrupt. For the first time in uncounted eons, the Chaos Gods, who have ruled the warp with unchallenged cruelty, discover something they cannot touch. They rage, they roar, they writhe, but their power slides from him like rain upon glass. The galaxy trembles. The Orcs, creatures whose very technology functions only through their belief, discover their faith unraveling. Their wog dies in their throats, their crude weapons becoming lumps of useless metal. The Tyranids descend, Aunhir Incarnate, entire fleets of chitin, and fangs stretching across the stars. Yet as they strike, their DNA disassembles mid-flight. Whole broods collapse into dust, their hunger evaporating into silence. The Necrons, soulless and eternal, awaken in defiance, their legions of living metal marching against this intruder. But Ebente, whose pact with undeath once enslaved their very essence, dissolve into nothing, their necrodermis undone by a single thought. And the Eldar, those who have lived for millennia under the weight of prophecy, stare into the abyss and find that none of their visions foresaw this moment. They, too, begin to despair. And so, one future unfolds. A future not of fire, not of victory, not of salvation, but of silence. The galaxy ends not in conquest, nor in collapse, but in erasure. For Dr. Manhattan, who perceives all of time at once, the galaxy of the 41st millennium is not dying. It is already dead. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is no more war. There is only silence. But silence is not the only future. For Dr. Manhattan, who perceives all of time in one vast, unbroken field, there is never only one outcome. Sometimes he does not erase. Sometimes he adjusts. And in this unfolding vision of possibility, his first gesture is not destruction, but healing. He turns his gaze upon Terra, the cradle of humanity, where the Emperor of mankind has languished upon the golden throne for 10,000 years. The Emperor is no god, though worship has made him one in the minds of billions. His body, long decayed, is sustained only by the agony of constant sacrifice. Thousands of psychos are fed into his machinery every day, their lives extinguished to fuel the Astronomicon, a psychic beacon that guides humanity's ships through the warp. His will, immense but fraying, holds the Imperium together by fear and faith alone. He's a routing god corpse upon a throne of gold, yet under the calm, infinite eyes of Dr. Manhattan, this decay begins to reverse. Bone reknits, flesh regenerates, mind reforms. The Emperor's ruined body is reconstituted atom by atom, until sinew and muscle grow strong once more, until lungs fill with breath, until the ancient warrior who conquered Terra millennia ago rises again, alive. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Emperor stands unaided, reborn not by worship, not by sacrifice, but by the hand of a being beyond all definitions of man or god. The galaxy quakes. The ecclesiarchy, whose entire existence depends on the cult of the god Emperor, splits in two, half fall to their knees in joy, proclaiming this the fulfillment of prophecy. The Emperors return to lead them once more, and their faith burns brighter than ever, yet half collapse into despair. For the sight of the Emperor alive, of flesh and blood, is blasphemy to everything they have built. Their temples and dogma relied upon his silence, his absence. Now, faced with a living man instead of an unreachable god, their faith cracks. The Inquisition fractures. Some inquisitors see this as the dawn of a new age, the Emperor restored to lead mankind out of darkness. Others whisper treachery, insisting this must be a deception, a chaos trick, or the work of a foul Xenos entity. For in their eyes, no power should rival the will of their Emperandie. Here stands one who has rewritten reality itself. On Mars, the Adeptus Mechanicus tremble. For 10,000 years, they have worshipped the Omnissiah, the machine god they believe to be the Emperor in another form. Now, before their very eyes, a radiant figure disassembles their holiest relics, atom by atom, showing them that the divine machinery they guarded so zealously is not magic, not sacred, but patterns of matter arranged with purpose. To some, this revelation is salvation. They see that technology is knowledge, that the machine god was only ever myth. They rise in enlightenment, ready to embrace the truth. But to Aeters, it is blasphemy beyond measure, an attack upon the very core of their faith. The Mechanicus begins to fracture, half reborn into rationality, half descending into violent fanaticism. And still Manhattan does not stop. Across the galaxy, his presence ripples outward. On the tomb worlds of the Necrons, ancient kings and warriors awaken from their slumber of millennia. For ages, they have marched in soulless silence, their essence bartered away in a desperate pact for immortality. Yet as Dr. Manhattan peers into their necrodermis, fragments of what they once were stir again. The cold metal of their forms shifts, their minds, remembering laughter, families, mortality. A Necron warrior kneels upon a battlefield and weeps without tears, recalling a child's voice he thought erased forever. Even the Silent King, the architect of their eternal curse, watches from the void in dread. He once traded away his people's souls to save them from death. And now, before his eyes, a stranger returns those souls with a thought. Elsewhere, the Tyranids descend, endless, ravenous, driven by an insatiable hunger to consume all life. For countless ages they have been an unstoppable tide, stripping planets bare, leaving only lifeless husks. But Manhattan alters their synaptic chains. The intricate psychic network that links each drone to the hive mind shudders, collapses. Whole splinter fleets drift, silent and confused, their purpose unraveling. The hive mind recoils, stunned for the first time in memory. A hunger that once seemed infinite falters, uncertain. To Tyranids, the devourers of worlds, are halted by a single adjustment in the field of inevitability. The orcs charge, as they always do, their belief powering their crude weapons, their wog, a storm of psychic energy held together by sheer conviction. But Manhattan alters the field of their faith. Their guns jam, their bombs fail, their war cries die in their throats. For orcs fight not because they must, but because they believe they must. When that belief is undone, they are left confused, leaderless, impotent. The wog, itself, a tide of chaos and destruction, sputters and collapses. Even the Eldar, the dying race of seers and prophets, feel the shift. For millennia, they have lived under the shadow of extinction, their souls hunted by Slaanesh, their visions burdened by inevitable doom. Prophecy told them only of suffering, only of the slow withering of their kind. But now, they feel something new. Manhattan's gaze accelerates the birth of Imperium, the god of death long foretold to destroy. For the first time in uncounted centuries, the Eldar's doom is no longer certain. They are not saved, but they are changed. Hope, alien and unfamiliar, touches their hearts, and in the Imperium, Slaanesh shudders in fear. The warp itself begins to weaken. Chaos falters. The Emperor, now reborn, stands upon Terra and feels the psychic tides convulse around him. His greatest enemies are shaken, not by armies, not by war, but by the simple unraveling of inevitability itself. And yet, as the Imperium trembles, as the galaxy transforms, the Emperor sees a deeper truth. His realm is cracking not because of invasion, but because of revelation. Humanity sees him now not as a god, but as a man. They see technology not as sacred relics, but as science. They see war not as inevitable, but as something that can be avoided. The foundations of the Imperium, the blind faith, the worship. The Tarot began to collapse. Humanity stares into the truth, and the truth terrifies them. For Dr. Manhattan has not destroyed the galaxy. He has not saved it. He has reshaped it into something alien, something unrecognizable. The Emperor reborn, the Mechanica split. The Necrons awakened to sorrow, the Tyranids silenced, the Orcs undone. The Eldar transformed, chaos. Weakened, the galaxy itself trembling on the edge of change. And yet this, too, is inevitability. For to Dr. Manhattan, who perceives all futures, all outcomes, all possibilities, this moment has already happened. And so another path begins to unfold, where war does not end, but where its very meaning is The galaxy is not at peace. Not truly. Though Dr. Manhattan has undone decay, restored life, and silenced hunger, his presence has not united the stars. It has fractured them. The Imperium, once bound together by worship and fear, begins to splinter under the weight of truth. The Emperor, reborn in flesh, stands not as a god but as a man, and this revelation is more dangerous than any Xenos fleet or chaos incursion. For what is the Imperium without faith? What is its purpose if the lie at its heart is stripped bare? The High Lords of Terra, who for millennia manipulated the corpse of their emperor as a symbol of divinity, find their power dissolving overnight. Their decrees, once unquestioned, now ring hollow. For every governor, every soldier, every pilgrim can now see their God walking among them, restored not by sacrifice, but by the intervention of a stranger. Some cling desperately to their authority, preaching that the true emperor has returned to lead mankind. Others fall into madness, unable to reconcile the God they imagined with the man now breathing before them. The ecclesiarchy, split into factions, turns upon itself. Temples burn. Priests scream heresy at one another. Civil war brews, not at the galaxy's edge, but at its core, on the very soil of Terra. The Inquisition fractures into even sharper extremes. Some inquisitors kneel before Manhattan, proclaiming him the true Omnissiah, the final arbiter of human destiny. Others denounce him as the greatest threat humanity has ever faced, a being whose calm indifference is more dangerous than any chaos god. For how can mankind survive in a galaxy where even the laws of fate unravel at the whim of a blue giant? And what does it mean that the Emperor himself, once worshipped as divine, now walks again as merely human? To question this is to question the very bedrock of the Imperium. The Inquisition has never tolerated questions. Across the galaxy, the aftershocks continue. The Necrons, newly awakened to fragments of their lost humanity, stumble through confusion. They are warriors who remember children's laughter, kings who recall the warmth of flesh, and soldiers who weep for families buried in time. Their silent tomb worlds echo with something unheard in millions of years' memory. Yet this gift is not a blessing to all. For what is eternity when coupled with grief? The silent king, who once sacrificed his people to preserve them, now watches his empire falter under the weight of emotion. His warriors, once perfect machines of conquest, hesitate on the battlefield, haunted by what they have regained. The Necron dynasties fracture between those who wish to embrace this strange return of soul and those who curse it as weakness. Manhattan has not saved them. He has divided them. The Tyranids, too, are undone, where once their hunger was endless, driving them to consume all life. Now splinter fleets drift in silence, their minds cut loose from the hive. For the first time in their history, the Tyranids are confused. Some collapse into inert husks, unavle to feed. Others mutate uncontrollably, their genetic codes twisted beyond purpose. The hive mind itself recoils, wounded, uncertain, but uncertainty breeds adaptation. Even now, somewhere in the darkness, the hive stirs, attempting to rewrite itself, to understand this anomaly. Manhattan has disrupted them, but has he truly ended their hunger, or merely reshaped it into something even stranger? The orcs falter in ways more catastrophic than any could imagine. Their faith, which was their weapon, is broken. Without belief, their guns do not fire, their ships do not fly. Their wogs collapse into silence. An entire species built upon laughter and violence begins to crumble. Yet even in their ruin, some orcs adapt. Small bands emerge, not fighting for faith, but for curiosity, for stubbornness, for sheer instinct. The green tide does not vanish, it mutates. Manhattan has not ended them. He has altered their nature, and no one can predict what form they will take next. And still the Eldar feel the strangest shift of all. For in Manhattan's presence, prophecy itself has unraveled. For millennia, they were a dying people, their every future written in despair, their every hope crushed beneath the inevitability of Slaanesh. But now, Imperium stirs. The god of death long whispered of in their visions. The cycle of doom is no longer inevitable. For the first time in thousands of years, the Eldar feel something alien in their veins. Hope. Yet hope is as dangerous as despair. Their leaders, accustomed to guiding their people by the certainty of prophecy, now stumble in confusion. Without the clarity of doom, what choices should they make? If the future is not fixed, then for the Eldar, the burden of freedom may yet prove heavier than the chains of fate. And so the galaxy reshapes itself not into silence, but into uncertainty. Chaos itself falters. The warp weakens. The great gods of madness, who once feasted on mankind's rage and despair, howl in frustration. Khorne's throne of skulls does not grow. Tzeentch finds his strings cut. Slaanesh trembles as Imperium rises. Even Nurgle's Garden of Despair shrivels, denied the nourishment of fear. For the first time since the dawn of their reign, the Chaos Gods glimpse something they cannot control, and in their weakness, the galaxy begins to imagine a future without them. Yet the question lingers: is this truly salvation, or merely another inevitability wearing a new mask? For Dr. Manhattan is not savior, nor destroyer, he is the observer who becomes the inevitable. He does not rule. He does not guide. He does not love or hate. He only exists, calm and radiant, reshaping the field of time simply by being within it. And as he stands beside the Emperor of mankind, reborn in flesh, the galaxy holds its breath. Humanity has lost its faith. The Necrons have regained their sorrow. The Tyranids have faltered. The Orcs have collapsed. The Eldar have found hope, and chaos itself shudders. Two futures exist, and both are true. In one, the galaxy collapses into silence, erased and irrelevant, ending not with a scream, but with a sigh. In another, the galaxy transforms, alien and unpredictable, reshaped into something that no prophecy, no god, no emperor could ever foresee. Both are inevitable. Both are already written. For, to Dr. Manhattan, time is not a line, but a field. He has already walked across it. And so, the grim darkness of the far future changes forever. Where there was once only war, there is silence. Where there was once only despair, there is change. And in this twilight between annihilation and rebirth, one truth lingers above all others. Dr. Manhattan is not mankind's salvation, nor its doom. He is inevitability itself. He is the end and the beginning. He is the silence and the void, and the light that pierces it. And as the stars burn on, indifferent, and the galaxy shifts in ways no seer or prophet could imagine, the lesson is left for us who watch from afar. Perhaps inevitability cannot be fought. Perhaps change, when it comes, will not be what we desire, nor what we fear, but something stranger, beyond comprehension. In the grim darkness of the far future, there may be no more certainty, no more destiny, only possibility.